Bitcoin and Ether futures rack up nearly $200 million in liquidations on short squeeze. What? A short squeeze on Ethereum and Bitcoin? What's going on here? This is interesting. Price volatility arose as signs of looming recessions were renewed among investors, one analyst said. Futures tracking Bitcoin and Ether racked up nearly $200 million in liquidations as volatility on Thursday saw prices break above and back below resistance levels. On Thursday, Bitcoin dipped under $20,000 amid a broader fall in Eurasian markets, recovered over that level, and then fell as low as $18,650 in U.S. evening hours. A short squeeze then saw Bitcoin touch over $20,900 in early Asian hours on Friday, which was then followed by a drop to $19,400 at writing time as traders took profits. Liquidations refers to when an exchange forcefully closes a trader's leverage position due to a partial or total loss of the trader's initial margin. It happens when a trader is unable to meet the margin requirements for a leveraged position. Thursday's downward move caused over $76 million in longs or bets on higher prices to get liquidation. This likely caused the short squeeze early on Friday. Similar trading in Ether futures saw the asset add more than $100 within hours as it jumped Thursday lows of $966 to Friday mornings of $1,115. Liquidations on Ether futures crossed over $100 million alone in the past 24 hours, CoinGlass data shows. Futures tracking other major cryptocurrencies such as Solana and Avalanche saw just over $5 million in liquidations each, implying their price action was mostly spot driven. The volatility arose earlier this week as traders assessed fresh comments from central bankers that signed relief from rate hikes may not occur in the coming months, as reported. Quote, fears rattling financial markets show little sign of subsiding, says Susanna Streeter, markets analyst at Hargreaves Lansdowne, in an email to CoinDesk. Investors are spooked about signs of looming recessions while inflation stays stubbornly high. Fresh falls on Wall Street marked a miserable milestone, with the S&P 500 tumbling in the first half of the year by 20.6%, a fall not seen since 1970, and creating a technical bear market. The tech-savvy NASDAQ, which has been racked by volatility, has plummeted by a third this year and is on track for the biggest ever yearly drop. Streeter said that there are concerns among investors about demand and inflation, and the Federal Reserve and other central banks will have to step on interest rate hikes to bring red-hot prices under control. So, I talked about this a few times because if we're talking about a traditional halving cycle, which I always find extremely interesting, we should be around the $20,000 to $22,000 mark for Bitcoin and the $1,100 mark for Ethereum, just based off halving cycle, right? During this bear market, and we sit there until 2025, right? That's pretty much what I'm expecting to see. And then we'll see a meteoric rise at that time. And it lines up kind of nicely with other things that are going to be happening in the economy as well. So when I see like a short squeeze here, I go, okay, well, what's actually happening? Is this an influence of Bitcoin or is this an influence of something else, and so on? Let's talk about what it looks like, right? So yesterday and today, two big purchases happened with Bitcoin. Yesterday, Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy doubles down on Bitcoin bet with new $10 million purchase. Bitcoin, the largest cryptocurrency by market value, might be down 70% from its all-time high, but MicroStrategy and its CEO, Michael Saylor, remain bullish. On Wednesday, MicroStrategy disclosed that it had purchased 480 Bitcoins for about $10 million from May 3rd to June 28th. MicroStrategy now holds an aggregate of approximately 129,699 Bitcoins, which were acquired for about $3.98 billion, the company said. Saylor tweeted the news as well with his laser-eyed Twitter profile picture intact. The Bitcoin whale has long supported the cryptocurrency even during the latest market downturn. When Bitcoin fell below $20,000 in June, reports circulated that MicroStrategy might face margin calls on its Bitcoin-backed Silvergate loan. Saylor dismissed those reports and promised to buy more Bitcoin in mid-June, even as MicroStrategy's Bitcoin holdings were as much as $1 billion underwater. Over the month, Saylor has continued to tweet in favor of Bitcoin as well. On Monday, he tweeted, "Bitcoin is the only investment-grade cryptocurrency," and Tuesday, he wrote, "Stay humble, stack sats," referring to Satoshis, which are the smallest fraction shares of a Bitcoin. So we have this purchase going through, right? Kind of lining up with this short squeeze that happened. And then we have another one. El Salvador purchases 80 additional Bitcoin at $19,000, President Bukele says. The last purchase by the Central American country had been in May. El Salvador purchased 80 Bitcoins at $19,000 each on Thursday. "Bitcoin is the future. Thank you for selling cheap," he tweeted, and accompanied the text with screenshots of 40 purchases made on Thursday, which totaled $1.52 million. El Salvador's last Bitcoin purchase was in May, according to Bukele, when the Central American country acquired 500 coins for a total of $15.3 million at a price of $30,744 each. According to CoinDesk data, based on his announcements, El Salvador is 55.03% down on its Bitcoin bet. From September to date, the country has acquired 2,301 coins for a total of $103.9 million, but its portfolio is currently worth $46.6 million. In May, El Salvador Finance Minister Alejandro Zelaya said that the Bitcoin amount the country had at the time represented less than 0.5% of its annual budget, adding that the Bitcoin losses posed extremely minimal risk to the country's fiscal position. So we had two large purchases happen during this short squeeze by whales. And so you end up in a position just going like, okay, well, obviously that's the influence of it, not necessarily the market. And I kind of wanted to see, is this like what's actually happening here? Are we recovering? Are we staying at these resistance levels? Do we go lower? Do we stay? I can't really tell you. Obviously, none of it's financial advice. My feeling is that even if we go lower, we come back to this point and we stick right around these resistance levels until 2025. That's how I see it. I think it's going to be maybe a shortened one, maybe a shortened cycle to where it happens in earlier in 2024, just because the halving will happen then, and then it may spark off a little bit quicker because as more people are aware of Bitcoin, when they see that initial price pump, they may be like, oh, and more people catch on, right? But as far as this one in particular, really the case appears to be Michael Saylor and El Salvador large purchases along with other whales and so on, not necessarily, miners or anything like that. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.